Hello and welcome to episode number 26 of the only YouTube show where the host has seen every single episode of Survivor multiple times and is bold enough to say that I would win the game hands down if I ever got the shot, and crazy enough to share what's on my mind with you each and every week, 2 times a week. Welcome back to the Have I Told You About This show. I am your host, Brad Komjenik. But when we cover Survivor, I'm better known as Buff Daddy. And we are covering Survivor again. This week, when I could barely pull myself away from Crimson Desert, my mind was totally taken aback by episode 5, named Open Wounds of Survivor Season 50. There we go. So have I told you about Survivor Season 50, Episode 5? Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. You gotta love it. Right up front, let me thank all of you who have continued to watch. For some crazy reason, these Survivor episodes seem to be what everyone loves. Look, I'm an old dude, and I love old video games, and I love books. I'm going to start talking about books more. I picked up so many new books recently that I can't wait to talk about and share with you. Great new stories that seem to be at least unique to me. But anyway, those of you who are liking and subscribing, still very few comments, but that's okay. I get it. If you don't have a lot to say, that's fine. But those of you who are liking, man, God bless you. Thank you so much. Again, it's never about monetization here on the Have I Told You About the show. We just want to get more people watching. That's all. Build a community. It was clear by the numbers that you wanted more shows, but shorter. So here we are. These shows will be shorter, and I'm going to continue to deliver on that. Your feedback with me will always be heard and abided by. All right. So with that out of the way, here we go. Join me, Buff Daddy, as we head back to the beach and dive right into episode 5, Survivor, season 50. This is the episode where grudges become gameplay, alliances calcify, and 2 players smash into the wall. We open on Vaatu in the dead of night, and the tribe's vibe is very thick. Not tense, thick, like humidity before a thunderstorm. Ozzy paces the beach like a man who just realized he's not the main character of the season that he thought he would be. He keeps muttering to himself and kicking sand and doing that thing where he runs his hands through his hair like he's about to dive into the ocean and maybe never come back. Christian, meanwhile, is kind of sitting by the fire. He's doing the world's most awkward, I'm sorry you feel that way body language. You know, he's trying to be empathetic, but he also knows that he made the right move. He's trying to explain his logic, but Ozzy, she's not hearing any kind of logic at all. He's hearing betrayal, and I love how they put Ozzy hidden immunity idol. Is that his job? Remember in the old Survivor shows, it would say Brad, YouTuber and psychologist. No, I guess they just want you to know, hey, Ozzy's got an idol. And then we get the confessional that truly defines this episode. Ozzy, this feels like Cochran all over again. I trusted someone and they stabbed me. I'm done being the nice guy. This is the moment that the episode title clicks in. Open Wounds. So we will speed on through the introduction of many people who are already gone. See Ozzy meditating there on the beach. Open Wounds isn't about the vote. It's about the old scars that never healed. By morning, Ozzy calmed down. He apologized and, shoot, he even hugged Christian, Can you believe that? And then he immediately pulled Stephanie aside. And what he wanted to say is, we should take Christian out. Here they are. This is the Ozzy special. Apologize, reconnect, and immediately plot your revenge. It's messy, it's emotional, it's vintage Ozzy for sure. At Vaatu, the wound gets infected. So the next morning, Christian tries his best as he can to rebuild his trust. He's doing the I'm a reasonable man routine, but the tribe is kind of watching him like he's a raccoon that just stole their lunch. Angelina sees the fracture and tries to wedge herself into the center. She's pitching loyalty, stability, long term planning, but the tribe is just too rattled to hear it. Then comes the wildest moment of the episode. Ozzy demands Christian hand over his shot in the dark. I couldn't actually believe that. And we'll see what he does with it. This is the kind of moment that makes superfans scream at their TV. It's not about the advantage, it's about dominance. Ozzy is reasserting control for the first time this season, and we're 5 episodes in. And Christian is just trying to de escalate. Angelina is watching the power struggle like she's taking notes for a future TED talk. This tribe is powder keg. Over at Kahlo, we cut to Kahlo where Coach has fully entered his Arthurian Renaissance Fair era. He's giving speeches about honor. He's naming alliances like medieval guilds. He's calling himself the Tide Walker as well. And we have Jonathan and Rick. They're going about their business, talking about, Rizzo. I don't like Rizzo. Jonathan doesn't like Rizzo. Rick's like, I don't care as long as it's not me or the people that I love. And of course, if you're talking to Charlie and somebody says we might do Rizzo, then Dee's on board. So clearly, we're looking toward a Rizzo vote this evening, at least this early in the episode. And Rizzo, Dee goes to Rizzo though and says, "Hey, wait a minute. I are you a like all about like voting for the men versus the women?" He's like, "I'm not a guy's guy." Rizzo says it. I'll vote for whoever I'll vote with and play with whoever I want to play with in this game. It's not a men versus women. And that was a strategic play at this moment. He got Dee on his side. That's what he needed. We'll see why in a few. All right, as I mentioned over at Kahlo, Coach has decided to take on his Arthurian Renaissance Fair era. He gives speeches about honor, of course, and starts naming alliances like medieval guilds. He calls himself the Tide Walker. The Tide Walker, friends. Yeah, remember when he was out in the tide on his back because all of his muscles cramped up a few episodes ago? Yeah. Everyone's just letting him do it. He knights Joe as the Stone Belt Monk. The Stone Belt Monk. Why? What does that have to do with anything? And then he knights Colby, the Oak Bound Warrior. Look at Colby. You say what? You said what? But he's all into it and he goes for it, right? He laughs about it. Sure. But to Coach, this is serious business. It's like, hey, I run this thing. You are who I say you are. And of course, Aubrey is doing Aubrey stuff. Aubrey, who's been on the outs, finally sees her opening. She talks to Tiff for a while and even has conversation with Genevieve, but, no one's really paying attention. But Aubrey approaches Coach with humility, vulnerability, and a little bit of flattery. And that's the exact combination Coach responds to. Coach welcomes her in like she's joining the Night's Watch. He gives her a pep talk about destiny and inner strength. It's, of course, absurd and beautiful in its coach. Tribe's stable, but only because everyone is indulging in Coach's fantasy world at this point. All right, so we move on. It's nighttime. And we get Rizzo and Charlie once again. And Rizzo versus Charlie has gone from a rivalry to an obsession. This is Operation Bad Blood, right? And where did it get that name? Because Charlie's a Swiftie, a Taylor Swift fan. It's petty and it's personal, but it's perfect television. So Charlie says, "Hey, talk to me about our friend Billie Eilish, and who did you tell about that, right?" And Rizzo was talking about the fact that they had like never lost, and he goes about his business, and they talk for a little bit, and Charlie's like, "I've got to get him out, no matter what." So he goes over to Jonathan, and and then he starts mentioning Rizzo's name, but then D goes, "I just need to talk to Siri," right? So we were, and then she comes over and tells, or Rizzo then tells her about the Billie Eilish idol, and that was his swift move here. Charlie is spiraling right now out. He's convinced Rizzo's coming for him, and he's right. He starts pacing and whispering and over strategizing and trying to rally Jonathan and Dee to his side. You see, he doesn't have, I think it was Mary or Marie, I can't remember which one right now, but by his side to do all the thinking for him. And that's his downfall, right? Dee's over it. She doesn't like the way Charlie and Jonathan are trying to run the tribe. She doesn't like the panic that they're causing, and she doesn't like their energy. So she does what she always does. She flipped quietly, elegantly, and decisively. And of course, she likes the fact that Rizzo tells her about the idol, but then a little bit later on, um, Siri comes in, and because Riz told her about the idol too, because remember Riz was playing the same way he did it before. Look, there's an idol, and I've got it, and look what I've got. That probably will come to bite him in the end this season. Let me just say this: if he rides that same shtick all the way through the season, then this hasn't been the season I thought it would be. Let me just say that. But now Siri is like, wow, I got to take care of this kid, right? He's taking care of me. So she tells him that Ozzy gave her um, one of his powers, right? And then we see Riz and D, and now it's time for the immunity challenge. This is called One Tribe Stands Alone. And why is it called that? Well, everybody gets there to the challenge, and Jeff tells them the twist. Only one tribe wins immunity tonight. And friends, again, you're going to hear me say this. Buff Daddy's telling you, I'm preaching truth here. I'm spitting truth at you. They wouldn't have to do this if they didn't always build up one tribe to be so daggone weak in the beginning. If they would even out skill sets more, you wouldn't have this where, okay, Vatu keeps, they're just going to lose again. So we've got to make sure that someone else loses somebody, right? We need to hurry up the pace here. So we're going to have two tribes going to tribal tonight. One tribe wins, the other two goes to tribal. It's a double elimination. This is the kind of twist that exposes weak alliances instantly. The challenge is actually brutal. It's endurance, it's balance, it's coordination, right? You're going to have to again, it's throwing that hook there, and you're going to have to hook that. You see that pink and blue ball there. You have to hook that pink and blue ball or the bag that's attached to it and pull that to you so you can get these things so that someone else can begin to throw those on the platforms up above. And I don't know, there's 5 or 6 of them you have to land the sandbags on. So, Jeff tells them, well, I'm sorry, 2 of you are going. So you see, you have to go all the way out into the ocean, go to the one place, swim over to where the blocks are, go over to the other one, and then head up to the challenge itself. It's a hard challenge, right? Uh, so we'll just go ahead and show a little bit of what's going on here. Um, Again, you probably already seen it. There's Jonathan. Look, I'll just carry two of these on my back. And he had to get to the island, and tunnel under the sand here, underneath this first hurdle, so that and get enough room for him and one other person to get through, Charlie, and then he gets through, Charlie gets through, Joe finally gets through, and they're working on their bags. Batu's kind of last again. Uh, Siri doing her thing, Tiffany, and then we get to, having to throw this we see Rizzo with the hook trying to get his bag. He flubs it. He just continually flubs it, over and over and over again. I think Joe gets his first. I think Angelina gets her second. I'm sorry. I think no, Coach. Yeah, maybe Coach got his first, not Joe. Joe went. He did the first part and got him through that sand there in the background, and then Riz finally gets his, and now you have to empty them and start throwing these bean bags up onto the platforms there. And Joe starts, Jonathan starts, he gets a couple up. You see, Joe has one, two, three, four there, and then Jonathan's getting his, and then I believe Coach comes in and finishes it off. Um, Again, Kahlo pulls it off thanks to Tiffany's grit, Aubrey's precision, and Coach's surprisingly effective motivational yelling and tossing of the beanbag. Sela and Vatu are headed to tribal. Two tribes, two votes, two casualties. Let's go to tribal number one. We'll just move this along here. Rick, and of course, here's Jeff pleading, "Oh, please, we need players." Like he doesn't have 10 million already lined up. All right, we do a little back to tribal. Nothing much happens, to be honest with you. Um, we see Riz talking to Camilla, telling her all the same things he's told everybody else because he needs to pull her in. And Camilla's like, "Absolutely, I'm with you." And then Charlie comes to Camilla and tells her about the idol, right? He pulls her aside right here and says, "Hey, did Rizzo tell you about the idol? You know, the Irish idol?" And she says, "He did not tell me anything about idols." She's just kind of filling, seeing, like, feeling him out, seeing what if he'll tell her. And of course, he tells her. And then she's like, "Hey, I want to trust the person who tells me information first, not the person who tells me second." And by the way, Charlie's playing a little squirrely. And there's, Riz has got it again. He's got an idol he doesn't have to play. And over at the other tribe, this is gonna kind of come down probably between Christian and Angelina. So we'll just see how it plays off. Christian knows he's still trying to play Ozzy, and he knows tonight's going to be a bad thing for him. And he gave up his what was it, in the dark, shadow of the dark, drop in the dark, shot in the dark, shot in the dark, and so we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting tribal. Angelina knows. She thinks, though, at this point, she's safe. And here we go. Ozzy's like, "I could turn on Christian in a heartbeat. And I think I should because of what he's done to me, to the votes," which is kind of interesting. Ozzy, Hidden Immunity Idol. I almost want to just think that's his last name at this point, Ozzy Hidden Immunity Idol. Because you see Angelina David versus Goliath, it's nothing about an idol or anything. We do spend a lot of time here pre-tribal with him going back and forth, and Christian giving it up, and then once more with Riz and Siri there building theirs, and Siri's like, "I just love Rizzo so much, and I'm gonna tell him everything I can." And he's like, "Wow, she's sharing information with me." And he's like, "The Rizzgod is in the same position he was in the last time. Well, only spent 3 days before game. I'm the longest player out here. Blah blah blah." Yeah, we'll see. He's certainly proud of himself, but I think Charlie thinks he's got him at this point, right? So the first tribal uh, with you know, with Vatu is what I call the anatomy of a collapse, and we'll get here shortly. I call it anatomy of collapse. It's the tribal is a master class in how a tribe can unravel from the inside out. Not because of strategy, but because of emotional residue that no one has dealt with. The moment Vatu walks in, you can feel the tension radiating off this group. They're not setting as a united front here at all. They're setting like a group of people who all think they're the protagonists of the story, and everyone else is simply a supporting character. And it's Ozzy's energy that sets the tone. Ozzy sets down with the posture of a man who's been wronged by the universe yet again. He's not angry anymore, he's hurt. And because he's hurt, he feels that's worse. Hurt Ozzy is unpredictable Ozzy. Hurt Ozzy is the version of Ozzy who makes decisions based on pride, not logic. And Jeff, of course, having done this for 50 seasons, he clocks it immediately. And he asks a simple question: how's camp been? Ozzy launches into a monologue about betrayal and trust and how he's tired of being the guy who gets burned by people that he just wants to help. It's raw, it's honest, and it's also strategically disastrous. Why? Because while Ozzy's venting, the rest of the tribe is kind of watching him like he's a live grenade. Christian, though, tries to patch the wound. He attempts to smooth things over with his trademark calm, analytical tone. And he talks about communication and about trying to rebuild trust and about wanting the tribe to finally just move forward. But here's the problem: Christian is speaking logic, right? Ozzy is speaking emotion. And these two languages don't translate ever at tribal council. Jeff, sensing the fracture, digs deeper, and suddenly the entire tribe starts talking about the vote and about trust and about who feels safe and who doesn't. And then Angelina gives her pitch. Angelina gives one of her classic, polished, articulate speeches. She talks about loyalty, about long-term vision, about wanting to be part of a tribe that values structure and stability. Now that's a good pitch, okay? It's actually for her, it's a great pitch, but it's the wrong pitch at the wrong time. Because Vatu isn't looking for structure anymore. They're looking for catharsis. Angelina is trying to sell a 5-year plan to a group of people who are still emotionally trying to process what happened yesterday. Ozzy just can't give up the fact that he's been betrayed. Christian can't give up the fact that he's been betrayed and that Ozzy won't let things go. Well, then we come to the vote, don't we? When we get to the vote, when the votes come in, Angelina, her face says it all. She knows. She knew the moment Ozzy started talking. She knew the moment Christian tried to explain himself. She knew the moment Jeff asked who felt safe, and no one raised their hand. Angelina got 4 votes. Christian got a pity vote. Angelina recreates her iconic jacket moment on the way out, which was kind of cool. You know, Angelina, tribe has spoken, she puts her things in, and then she creates her jacket moment, giving her jacket It's to the tribe, telling them it's cold tonight. They're going to need it. It's a perfect self-aware callback to her survivor legacy. It's a fitting exit for a player who always understood the theater of Survivor as much as the strategy. All right, let's move on to Tribal Council number 2. We see there Angelina. She got all the votes, and of course her vote went. And then the other tribe comes in. Look at that motley group. First time they have been here. It's pretty crazy. I call this the blood feud reaches its breaking point. The blood feud. It's the first. If the first tribal was emotional, which it was, this one is opera. This is the culmination of a rivalry that's been simmering since day one. Charlie versus Rizzo. Two super fans with two completely different philosophies of how this game is played. Charlie arrives and he is already spiraling. Charlie walks in with the energy of a man who's been living inside his own head for 48 hours straight. He's jittery. He starts over explaining everything. He tries to smile, but his eyes are literally screaming. Look at that. Jeff asks him the simple question again: Charlie, how are things? And Charlie gives a 5-minute talk. It's crazy. It seemed too much. It seemed rehearsed, and it seemed transparent. The tribe certainly saw it. And Rizzo, he just plays it cool. Plays it ice cold. He's calm. He's measured. He speaks in short, confident sentences like he always does. He doesn't attack Charlie. He doesn't even defend himself. He simply gave Charlie the rope and watched Charlie create a noose to hang himself for it. Unfortunately, friends, that's elite gameplay this season. And if you've been watching Dee during all this, she smiles and her body language tells it all. Dee knows here in this particular moment, she's a swing vote. She sets mostly sometimes with her hands at her, crossed there at her knees or crossed over her, her chest, lean back, watching those guys go at each other like she's watching a play that she's already seen the ending of. Jeff even asked her where she stands, and she gives kind of a beautifully vague answer about wanting to move forward with people who bring stability. Translation: Charlie, you're just too much. Camilla then kind of comes in and seals the deal, really. Camilla, who quietly observing the entire episode, gives the final nail in the coffin when she says she wants to work with people who listen more than they talk. Charlie hears that. Rizzo hears it. Everybody hears it. And when the vote comes in, Charlie's face collapsed. Charlie, 4 votes to Rizzo's 3. Charlie's final words are emotional, reflective, quite a bit heartbreaking. Also, I should say, Rizzo gave a monologue where he talked to Charlie in Taylor Swift speak. That was a gangster move, because if that didn't go his way, he would have looked like an utter fool. But this is the bravado of one Rizzo. He brings it every single time. Once again, Charlie's words, as I said, were emotional and reflective and heartbreaking. He knows that he overplayed again, and he knows he let that rivalry consume him, and he knows he lost the plot. It's kind of a tragic end for who has been one of the fan favorites again. But once again, just like his previous season, he lets other people get the best of him over and over and over again. All right. Now, with that said, you know what I like to do now. Buff Daddy likes to look at post-tribal meta breakdown. So let's talk about things such as who's playing the best social game right now. This week, I give it to D. D, this week, I labeled the quiet architect. Why? Well, she's playing the kind of social game that doesn't show up in flashy confessionals, but it shows up in the votes. Here's why I think she's dominating socially. She reads emotional temperatures instantly. See, D has this uncanny ability to sense when somebody is beginning to spiral. You saw that in her season. When someone is lying, or when someone's insecure, and when someone is overconfident. That's why she's a winner. This episode, she clocked Charlie immediately. She saw that panic before he even opened his mouth. 2, she makes people feel heard. When Rizzo vents, she listens. When Camilla hesitates, she reassures. When Jonathan tries to assert control, she just nods politely, but doesn't commit. She's kind of a social chameleon, not in a fake way, though. It's an adaptation without losing her authenticity. 3rd, she avoids emotional entanglements. You have to do. Unlike Ozzy, unlike Charlie, unlike Angelina, Dee doesn't get pulled into drama. She observes it, analyzes it, and then uses it like a tool or a weapon for herself. 4, she flips only when it benefits her. Her flip against Charlie wasn't impulsive. It was calculated, timed, and clean. She doesn't burn bridges. What she does is she creates friends. She doesn't create enemies. She simply just repositions herself at the center of the tribe, no matter what's going on around her. Friends, that's textbook social dominance in the game of Survivor. All right, next. Who's playing the best strategic game? I never thought this would come out of my mouth, friends. But after tonight, Rizzo, the Survivor supercomputer. Rizzo's playing the sharpest strategic game so far. 1, he has perfect vote awareness. He always knows where the numbers were, just like tonight. He knew exactly what he needed to do to get 1 vote more on his side. He can always tell who's lying, and he always knows who's pretending to be undecided. This episode, he read Dee and Camilla like open books. 2, he weaponizes information without oversharing. Rizzo knows when to reveal something and when to keep it close this week, for sure. He never info dumped, and he never panicked, and he certainly didn't overplay. 3, he survived a direct hit. Charlie came for him hard, publicly, emotionally. Rizzo didn't flinch. He didn't scramble. He didn't beg. I'm not so sure if this happened to him on his season, if there wouldn't have been a different outcome. I think he would have folded. Now he stayed calm, he trusted his reads, and he let Charlie hang himself. 4, he's building a long-term alliance structure. Look at this. Dee trusts him. Camilla trusts him. Siri respects him. Now Jonathan fears him. That, friends, is a power position. Who is playing, according to Buff Daddy, the worst game you can be playing right now? Ozzy, the emotional hurricane. Ozzy just keeps showing up on this list at this place. Ozzy should be a legend. He's a challenge beast. He's a Survivor icon. But strategically, he couldn't win a game of Monopoly. He's playing the worst game of the season. He's reactive, not proactive. Everything Ozzy does is a response to how he feels in the moment. He's not thinking 3 moves ahead like you do in a fine game of chess. He's thinking about who hurt him last. Who took my pawn? Well, he's opening up his queen, right? He's burning trust faster than he can build it. He apologizes to Christian, then immediately plots against him. He vents to Stephanie, then vents to Angelina, then vents to Jeff. He's unpredictable. And unpredictability is death in Survivor. 3, he's creating chaos and not controlling it. See, chaos in this game, to me, is a winner. Only if you're controlling it, not creating it. Chaos is the ultimate weapon, but only if you're the one wielding it. Ozzy's not wielding chaos. He is the chaos. That'll be his downfall. He's becoming a liability. His tribe doesn't trust him anymore. His emotions are dictating his strategy, and his volatility is overshadowing his physical value anymore. They're not winning challenges either. If Vatu loses again, he's in real danger. But as we know, there's change in the air for next week. Who do I think is most likely to be voted out next? And like I said, changes in the air because the next on Survivor showed what looked to be a merge. So let's talk who do I think is gonna get voted out next? Well, friends, this hurts me to say, but after analyzing it all and running the numbers, crunching them in the old Buff Daddy Brain supercomputer, I'm going with Jonathan, the lone wolf without a pack. Jonathan is in the worst position of anyone left in the game. He's tied to Charlie's downfall. When your closest ally gets blindsided, you inherit their target. Jonathan is now a leftover piece of a broken alliance. He's a physical threat with no social insulation. Yeah, he's strong. He's useful in challenges where you need that, but socially, nah, he's not integrated. Puzzles couldn't do him if he had to. He's respected a little for his strength, but he's not trusted. Dee and Camilla don't need him. They've got Rizzo. They have Siri. They have each other. Jonathan brings strength, but no stability. 4, Rizzo has no incentive to keep him. Jonathan's the only person left who can challenge Rizzo's influence on the Sela tribe, and that makes him expendable. Of course, now they'll be in different tribes, I know, but the thinking's still there, right? And he doesn't know how to read the room. Jonathan still thinks he's in a power position no matter what, and he's not. He's the next easy vote. Well, the season just shifted gears last week, and it's going to again this week. Episode 5 is the hinge point of Survivor Season 50. Rivalries are real now. Alliances shifting. The emotional wounds are driving gameplay as we see, and the double elimination reshaped pre-merge landscape. This is the moment the season stops being nostalgic and becomes a knife fight. So, what do you think about episode 5 of Survivor Season 50? Do you agree with my analysis? Do you disagree? What are you enjoying most? Have you enjoyed the challenges of the season? I've really enjoyed the challenges. I would have thought that there would have been more America stuff this week, but not really. We didn't, in the hands of the fans. I mean, not America. The fans changing things up and really going. Really, we just keep talking about this Billie Eilish thing, and I don't know if the Zach Brown thing last week was like fan voted or not. I'm unsure. So I think we need to get back to the fans playing more of a role because it is called in the hands of the fans. All right, friends, that's the close here of episode 5. Please, if you could, just take a moment, like, subscribe, tell your friends about this crazy old man who loves to talk about video games, pinball, and what it was like going to Blockbuster and Survivor, books, you name it. Whatever's on my mind, I bring to you each and every week, twice a week, just for you, and in nice, shorter, digestible episodes. Thank you again so much for the likes and the subscribes. I truly appreciate it. And I'll see you here on the next one. And remember, in the game of Survivor, it's outwit, it's outplay, it's outlast. And after the merge, it's out, totally out chaos. You must out chaos everyone and watch what happens next week. And if you come back, I'll explain it. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.